Hi, I'm Alma. I'm a contract engineer who takes international assignments, and my husband David stays home with our two kids, Emma, 8, and Lucas, 6. His parents, Sharon and Bill, live 20 minutes away, and we've always had what I thought was a good relationship. They watch the kids sometimes when David had appointments or needed help. I was 3 weeks into a 6-week assignment in Singapore when I got the video call that changed everything. Mom, you're back! Emma's face filled my screen, but something was wrong. Her hair was matted, and there were dark circles under her eyes. Baby, what happened? Where's Dad? He's sleeping. Grandma and Grandpa just brought us home an hour ago. She glanced behind her nervously. Mom, can I tell you something? Of course, sweetheart. You can tell me anything. They locked us in the shed. Her voice cracked. For 5 days. My blood turned to ice. What? Emma, slow down. Tell me exactly what happened. Dad had to go to that work thing in Boston, remember? For 3 days? Grandma and Grandpa said they'd watch us. But the first morning, they told us to go play in the backyard shed while they packed. Then they locked the door. They locked you in the shed? For how long? 5 days, Mom. There was just some old blankets and a bucket. They left us water bottles and some crackers and peanut butter. It was so cold at night. Lucas cried a lot. I could barely breathe. Where were they, Emma? We heard Grandma talking on the phone when she came to give us more water on day 3. She was telling someone about Paris, about how Cousin Jake and Cousin Ashley loved the Eiffel Tower. They took your cousins to Europe while you were locked in a shed? Yeah, Aunt Melissa's kids. When they finally let us out yesterday, Lucas was really sick. He threw up twice. We were so scared, Mom. Let me talk to Dad right now. David appeared, looking exhausted. Alma, I just got back 2 hours ago. I thought they were at the house. Mom said everything was fine when I called. David, Emma just told me they locked our children in a shed for 5 days while they took Melissa's kids to Europe. Tell me she's lying. His face went pale. What? No, they wouldn't. Mom said, go check the shed, right now. Put Emma back on. Emma's tear-streaked face returned. Mom, there's something else. Mrs. Patterson next door. She heard us screaming on day 2. She came over and Grandma told her we were just playing a game. But I saw Mrs. Patterson's face. She knew something was wrong. Mrs. Patterson heard you? Did anyone else? The mailman came on day 4. We were banging on the door. He looked at Grandpa, and Grandpa said we were being punished for breaking his tools, that kids need to learn consequences. The mailman just left. David came back on screen, his face ashen. Alma, the shed. There's a padlock on the outside. Fresh scratches on the door. Vomit in the corner. Our kids. His voice broke. David, listen to me carefully. Take pictures of everything. The shed, the lock, the marks on the door. Check the kids for injuries and photograph anything you find. I'm calling the police right now. Then I'm calling Mrs. Patterson. Alma, they're my parents. They locked our children in a shed for 5 days so they could take Melissa's kids to Disneyland Paris, David. Our kids could have died. I took the first flight home, landing 36 hours later. David picked me up from the airport, and we drove straight to Mrs. Patterson's house. She answered immediately, her face tightening when she saw us. I was wondering when you'd come. I've been sick about this for days. Mrs. Patterson, what exactly did you see? I asked. Thursday afternoon, I heard screaming. Not playing screaming. Terrified screaming. Help us, please. Someone help us. I ran over, and Sharon was in the driveway, loading suitcases into their car. What did she say? I asked what was happening, and she said, Oh, Emma and Lucas are just playing a game in the shed. You know how dramatic kids can be. But I heard Emma yelling, We're not playing! She locked us in here! Sharon just laughed and said, See what I mean? Such imaginations. David's hands were shaking. Why didn't you call someone? I didn't know what to do. Sharon seemed so calm, so normal. I thought maybe I was overreacting. But then I saw Bill put a padlock on the shed door, and Sharon drove away. I should have called the police right then. I'm so sorry. Did you see them leave? I pressed. Yes. Sharon came back an hour later with 2 other children. I assume Melissa's kids based on what I've heard since, and they all got in a car together. Bill kissed those children, gave them stuffed animals. Then they drove off. Your kids were still in that shed. I pulled out my phone. Would you be willing to give a statement to the police? Absolutely. I haven't been able to sleep. Those poor babies. Next, we spoke with the mailman, Jerry, who worked that route. Yeah, I remember. Monday afternoon, I was delivering a package. Those kids were pounding on that shed door, screaming for help. The grandfather, tall guy, gray hair, he came over real quick. What did he tell you? David asked. Said the kids broke some expensive tools in his shed, and this was their punishment. Teaching them responsibility, he said. My daughter-in-law is too soft on them. He was pretty calm about it, so I figured it was a family thing. But the little boy was crying so hard. They were locked in there. No food, barely any water. Jerry's face went red. Jesus, I should have... I'm sorry. If I'd known... Would you testify to what you saw? Damn right I will. Our pediatrician, Dr. Chen, examined both kids that afternoon. Emma has mild dehydration and some bruising on her shoulders. Looks like she was throwing herself against the door. Lucas has moderate dehydration and he's showing signs of trauma. The vomiting was likely from stress and lack of proper food. They're both malnourished. She looked at us seriously. This is child endangerment at minimum, potentially more. Will they be okay? I asked. Physically, yes, with proper care. Emotionally, they'll need therapy. Lucas won't sleep alone now. Emma has nightmares. That evening, David's sister, Melissa, called. David put her on speaker. David, Mom just called me. Hysterical. She said you're trying to get her arrested? Over a little misunderstanding? Misunderstanding? I cut in. They locked our kids in a shed for 5 days, Melissa. Well, they took your kids to Europe. Oh, come on, Alma. Mom said the kids were being difficult and she needed them to calm down. It's not like they were hurt. Not hurt? Lucas is dehydrated and traumatized. Emma has bruises. You're overreacting. Mom and Dad love those kids. They were trying to teach them discipline. Maybe if you were home more instead of gallivanting around the world. They took Jake and Ashley to Paris, David said quietly. To Disneyland, the Louvre, the Eiffel Tower, for 5 days, while our kids were locked in a shed with a bucket to use as a toilet. Silence. They wouldn't... Mom posted 37 photos on social media, Melissa. Your kids at every landmark in Paris. Our kids have scratches on their hands from trying to claw the door open. Maybe there's an explanation. There is no explanation that makes this okay, I said. We're pressing charges. If you want to defend them, that's your choice. But don't call us again unless you're ready to acknowledge what they did. I hung up. We met Sharon and Bill at their house 3 days later, with Officer Rodriguez present. Sharon opened the door, smiling. Oh, David, sweetheart. Come to make up. This whole thing has been blown so out of proportion. Mrs. Monroe, I'm Officer Rodriguez. We need to discuss what happened while you were caring for Emma and Lucas Monroe. Her smile faltered. It was a misunderstanding. The children were misbehaving. You locked them in a shed for 5 days, I said flatly. Bill appeared behind her. Now, Alma, let's all calm down. Calm down? You locked our children in a shed while you took Melissa's kids to Europe. They needed discipline, Sharon snapped. You're never home and David spoils them. Someone had to teach them. Teach them what? David's voice was shaking. To be afraid of their own grandparents? We left them supplies. Water, food, blankets. Officer Rodriguez checked his notes. According to the medical report, both children showed signs of dehydration and malnourishment. They were traumatized. They're exaggerating, Bill said. Kids do that for attention. There are scratches on the shed door from where Emma tried to break out, I said. Lucas vomited from stress. Mrs. Patterson heard them screaming for help, and you told her it was a game. Sharon's face hardened. Catherine Patterson needs to mind her own business. Those children needed to learn... Learn what? That family abandons them? That they don't matter as much as Melissa's kids? Don't bring Jake and Ashley into this. You took them to Paris, David shouted. You posted pictures of them at the Eiffel Tower while our kids were locked in your shed. Melissa's children appreciate culture. They deserved that trip. The room went silent. They deserved it, I repeated slowly. And our kids deserve to be locked up? Sharon lifted her chin. I'm not apologizing for trying to instill discipline. You're raising them to be weak. Mom, they're 6 and 8 years old. And at that age, children need strong guidance. Melissa understands that. She appreciates us. I appreciate you not treating my kids like prisoners. David's face was red. How could you do this? Bill stepped forward. Now you listen here. We've done nothing but help you two. We watched those kids whenever you asked. You locked them in a shed and left the country. We were teaching them a lesson about gratitude. Do you know how much we've spent on those kids? And they're never grateful, never well-behaved. Because you terrified them. I moved closer. You had a chance to be their grandparents, to love them. Instead, you chose favorites and tortured the ones who didn't measure up. Sharon's voice turned icy. You're being dramatic. We would never... There's a padlock on the shed door. Witnesses, medical reports, photos. Those can be explained. Then explain them in court, Officer Rodriguez said. Mr. and Mrs. Monroe, you're being charged with child endangerment and false imprisonment. You have the right to remain. You can't do this, Sharon shrieked. David, tell them. We're family. You stopped being family when you locked my kids in a shed, David said. Bill lunged forward. You ungrateful. He shoved David hard, and David stumbled back into the wall. Mr. Monroe, step back. Officer Rodriguez moved between them. Bill swung at the officer. The assault charge made everything easier. Bill's attack on a police officer meant jail time was inevitable. Sharon tried to claim she didn't know what Bill had planned, but text messages showed otherwise, including ones discussing teaching Alma's kids their place before the trip. The trial was brutal. Melissa testified for her parents, claiming they were old-fashioned but loving. Mrs. Patterson's testimony destroyed that narrative. I heard those children screaming for help. I watched Sharon Monroe lie to my face about it. I saw Bill Monroe lock that shed door and walk away. If that's love, I'd hate to see hate. Jerry, the mailman, testified next. Those kids were begging for help, and Bill Monroe told me they deserved to be locked up for breaking his tools. Said their mother was too soft. He was proud of what he was doing. Dr. Chen's medical testimony was damning. These children showed clear signs of trauma, dehydration, and psychological distress. The conditions they were kept in were dangerous and potentially life-threatening. The defense attorney tried one last time. Mrs. Monroe, don't you think this has gone far enough? Your husband has apologized. No, I said clearly. Bill Monroe attacked a police officer. Sharon Monroe locked my children in a shed for 5 days so she could take her favorite grandchildren to Europe. They showed those kids the Louvre while mine were using a bucket as a toilet. There is no apology that fixes that. They're elderly. They were healthy enough to travel through 4 countries. They're not too elderly to face consequences. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Bill got 2 years for the assault and child endangerment. Sharon got 18 months. Both were ordered to pay restitution and have no contact with Emma or Lucas. As they were led away, Sharon turned back. David, please. We made a mistake. Let us make it right. You had 5 days to make it right, David said. You chose Paris instead. 6 months later, Emma and I were baking cookies when she looked up at me. Mom? Are Grandma and Grandpa ever coming back? No, sweetie. They're not allowed to contact us anymore. Good. She went back to mixing. Mrs. Patterson said she's going to teach me to garden this summer. She's a better grandma anyway. Lucas ran in from the backyard. Mom! Dad! Look what I built in the shed! He held up a wooden birdhouse, painted bright blue. David and I had spent weeks helping the kids reclaim that space, turning it into their clubhouse with windows, art supplies, and a heater. That's beautiful, buddy, David said. It's for Mrs. Patterson's yard, because she tried to help us. That evening, after the kids were in bed, David and I sat on the porch. Melissa called again, he said. She wants to talk. Does she want to apologize for defending them? She says she didn't know how bad it was, that Mom and Dad lied to her. Do you believe her? He was quiet for a long time. I don't know, but I know I don't trust her yet. Maybe not ever. That's fair. I took his hand. We protected our kids, that's what matters. I should have known. Should have checked. David, you trusted your parents. That's not wrong. What they did was wrong. He nodded, wiping his eyes. Emma asked me yesterday if she was as good as Jake and Ashley. My heart broke. What did you tell her? I told her she's better. Because she's brave and kind, and she survived something terrible and still knows how to love. That's more than her grandparents ever taught Melissa's kids. Inside, the house was warm and safe. Our kids were sleeping peacefully for the first time in months. And somewhere, two people who forgot that love means protecting the vulnerable were learning that choices have consequences. Some things can't be forgiven, and that's okay. What would you do if your in-laws chose favorites among your children? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true stories.